We've taken a look at quite a few posing apps over the last few months, all of which have offered us many different ways to pose their respective models, but one area where most come up short is customization. Luckily, there is one app on the market that goes the extra mile in this regard, and it's an app called Art Model. Art Model gives us the ability to create a wide spectrum of body types. Whilst the rendering of the models isn't as polished as other apps and does feel a little dated, the level of control you have over the shape and size of the models is pretty much unmatched. If you're only in need of a general reference pose and are not too concerned with realism, then the customization options are a pretty valuable tool to have. There are only two models to choose from, a standard male and female, but given how much they can be altered means there's little use for any others. Once the model is selected, simply tap the morph icon to bring up the customization tools. Here you'll find that just about every possible area of the figure can be altered. The depth of the chest can be expanded, the length of the neck can be stretched or squashed, shoulders can be widened, thighs and forearms can have their thickness increased. You can shift between high muscularity or being overweight. There's a bunch of options here. There are also gender-specific sliders too. For men, you can adjust the trapezium and pectoral muscle sizes, and for the ladies, there are options to create that classic hourglass figure, as well as numerous controls for the breasts. There's even a slider to make the female model pregnant as well. So a whole bunch of controls. Unique also to this app is age controls, which allows you to create both adult and child models. Children are notoriously tricky to draw, so this option alone makes Art Model unique amongst its competitors. Another unique feature in Art Model are the clothing options. Here you'll find a range of fairly basic clothing items for your model to wear, including shirts, jackets, skirts, underwear, footwear, all of which can have their color altered. Alongside this, there's a couple of hair options for your model as well. When it comes to props, the library in Art Model isn't as vast as other apps. There's some basic office items, some furniture, a handful of weapons, some basic shapes to use as well. There's even a nice little selection of vehicles to choose from. It's not the biggest library going around, but again, if you just need something basic to work with, there's enough here for you to use. In terms of controls, the figures are relatively straightforward to use. They have relative joint controls in the wrist and ankles, as well as axis controls for the other joints. There are also 4 pivot points along the model's spine, which is a lot more than what you get in other apps. A unique control feature is the camera axis circle, which allows you to move your selected joint relative to the camera's position. It's surprisingly easy to get into the groove of puppeteering the model this way, and feels a little quicker and a little less mechanical than the normal axis controls. So what are the app's weaknesses? Well, the biggest downsides are simply the model's renderings, which is simply not the best. They are pretty anatomically correct, but there's also a lack of muscle definition and detail. If you've got a good enough grasp on anatomy, then that lack of detail probably won't bother you too much, but if you're learning to draw the figure, there are other apps on the market that will produce better results. There's also some frustrating aspects to the app, such as the camera controls. Other apps have seemingly adopted a very universal approach to their gestures for how to move the camera, but in Art Model, everything's reversed. Another issue is there's a lack of pivot control for the upper leg. You have to use the ankle to move the leg up and down, the success of which depends a lot on the position of your camera. So there's a couple of annoyances with the app that do sour the experience. That said, if the advanced customization controls are what you're looking for, then you're going to find a lot of use out of Art Model. It's got a bunch of ways to create characters of all sizes and shapes, and is available on iPad and Android.